Hello, SGD, Sacred Geometry Decoded. In this presentation I intend to extend upon previous uploads with some very important information in regards to ancient Egypt but other ancient sites such as the Kaaba, Jerusalem, the legend of Enoch and or Metatron, connections to Hermes Trismegistus, Thoth or Wa Fu Hsi as known in China, and how these ancient gods of science, geometry, mathematics are also the gods of weights and measure, and that through the quadrivium, arithmetic, geometry, music and astronomy, read as and through systems of weights and measure, there is a profound level of highly scientific information that has been preserved in these structures, in these legends, and how they interrelate with one another. I hope you enjoy.
Hello, SGD, Sacred Geometry Decoded. I'll put some links to the previous one. I'm going to quickly go back. I've cracked it. That's now the pyramidion cap found next to the red pyramid, 1 metre high, 3 Egyptian rolled cubits wide. There was some shenanigans going on, and it was remodelled by under the care of the Supreme Antiquity. So
Here on the left we can see the capstone found next to the red pyramid as it was found and reconstructed, put back together by Dr. Rainer Stadelmann. On the right we can see the capstone, the very same capstone as it was altered, but somewhere between 2005 and 2008. Probably don't need to mention the name of the person who was in charge of Egyptian antiquities at the time, but the importance of this stone and how it connects to the Great Pyramid is vital. Not only does this capstone incorporate the Egyptian royal cubit, the ancient Old Kingdom Egyptian royal cubit, it also incorporates the meter, but it is also shares the same proportions of the Great Pyramid itself. 11 wide at the base and 7 high. This is very important information which will roll on and into the Great Pyramid, the use of pi, phi, other mathematical constants, but especially the cubit, the foot and the meter relationship.
add some visuals in the background. So the 1 metre pendulum should be no more than 30 degrees, because this is not an arbitrary angle. This affects the speed of it. So it needs to be at a shallow angle, no more than 30 degrees. That's an established bit of knowledge. Now it just so happens that the pyramid itself is 30 degrees effectively, ever so slightly, but then there are other aspects. But the Great Pyramid itself.
So the Great Pyramid itself is not exactly 30 degrees north. We need to look at how far away it is from exactly 30 degrees north, because that includes some profound information in itself. If you go into Google Earth, you can find your coordinates there. So that's your north and that's your east-west. So if I go on to this point, we'll see now we are exactly 30 degrees north. Keep your eye on this part. 30 degrees north. And so using the measure tool, we go down. There we have the Great Pyramid. There we can see the the indentations, which make it actually an 8-sided pyramid, but they're relevant because they give us a good idea of the exact center point. So that would be the east-west, and here we would have the north-south. But okay, so there we have 756.20 feet map length. So there we have a good idea of a center line, very, very close. Now the exact center, because there's a little bit there, but very, very close to the exact center, 7,560.027 feet. South of exactly 30 degrees north. So because there we get an idea, that's the 29 degrees, 58 minutes, 45 seconds south of exactly 30 degrees north, and that length between along the is 7,560 feet, give or take a small margin, exactly finding the center. But now, why is that relevant? Because if we look at the measures of a Great Pyramid, it is between 756.72 on its longer side and 755.428 feet on its shorter side. So the average is around 755.75 feet if you're to include the cycles, which add roughly. A very important feature about this 1 meter 1 second pendulum, 30 degrees being essential. There is another way of measuring 360 degrees, and that is called radians, which means one circle is 2 pi radians. Therefore 30 degrees equals pi over 6 radian, and 1 Egyptian royal cubit equals pi over 6 meters, giving us the second. But another important feature is to consider the 400 gradian compass. There was an attempt to metrify the compass and to divide a circle into 400 units. 33.33333 repeater gradient equals 30 degrees, or pi over 6 radian, which defines pi over 6 meters, which is 1 Egyptian royal cubit. But this 33.333 gradient will come back later as another reference point to bring together multiple sets of measure and embedded in the pyramid
plateau, Heliopolis are at 30 degrees north of the equator, so you have a nice 30 degree pendulum reference happening here. But a 1 meter 1 second pendulum, the speed, so the actual 1 second is very tricky. You have a sidereal year which is actually a few minutes short of 86,400 seconds per year. Depends how far north of the equator you go. There are gravitational hotspots which affect all of these things, but a standard 1 meter pendulum, which is defined by the speed of light, will give you, really very accurate 1 second pendulum. Now 30 degrees at exactly 1 modern speed of light meter creates a section of arc which is 0.5236 meters. That is exactly 1 Egyptian royal cubit, as defined by the pyramids. Cubit rods exist for that as well. This has been pretty much well established, but it was not established off this. It was by examining all the sites across Egypt and the cubit rods. So the Old Kingdom, not the later one, but the Old Kingdom, pi over 6 meters, or 5.236. Splitting a split hair to get the difference between those margins of error. Now I did on the last one, so you draw a vesica, you draw another, so the vesica set at 25 centimeters, or that 15 degrees of that particular angle, yeah? So 25, just draw a circle, draw a circle, draw a circle. You've got the vesica, this double vesica, these 3 circles. You also find in Rosicrucian, the old Rosicrucian text, in all sorts of alchemical, hermetical texts, you will find not just the vesica, but this specific one of 3 circles. Now, because of that's 25 centimeters, what we do is we've divided, using the axis, we've divided the circle into 3 equal portions. Each portion of arc is exactly that distance. So each one of these is exactly 1 Egyptian royal cubit, making that...
Now we need to break away for a geometry lesson, because this is so integral to the rest of the information, so important to understanding the esoteric. The importance of compass and straight edge, the importance of geometry cannot be underestimated in metrology, esoteric symbolism, hermeticism. It is literally one of the foundation of this entire field. Now, compass and straight edge, or the compass and square, now I'm going to be using, you should use an unmarked straight edge. And so that particular symbol is, we'll start with a construction line. And so we draw a circle without changing the setting. And that will fit. So now we have a vesica piscis, a vesica pisces, and
Now a double vesica. And there we have this symbol which can be applied, of course, in so many other ways. However, there is more to this, and this is one of the foundations, fundamentals of all this ancient symbolism, as we're going to see it in Egypt as well. Now, we have the double vesica. Now, all I do is, where the circles intersect, I'm going to draw another circle. Again, on these two sides. And now we have the seed of life. One more circle, and that's the seed of life. And now we have a perfect hexagon. The thing about a hexagon, the edge, well, the radius of the circle is equal to the edge length of the sides. I should use a straight edge for this, but we can get the point now. Now we have a hexagon, which is also a lovely way of a 2D representation of a 3D cube for a hexagon. And now we have the cube, as in the cube of Enoch and these related symbols and imagery. Now, this same geometry, which will also lead to Metatron's cube, can be found in Egypt, for instance, at the temple of Seti. Just behind there is the Osiron. And well, we don't even need this. And you'll see this at the Osiron. We just begin with a circle. Any point on the edge of a circle, draw another circle. Now we have a vesica. Now where those circles contact, we just keep following that around. And we have the seed of life. And we simply repeat the cycle, the pattern, and that's the image that we can find in ancient Egypt on the walls there at the temple of, just behind the temple of Seti, the Osiron. It's just a matter of repeating. We just keep working our way around, and there we have this very ancient, this very important pattern, and a pattern which can be found across the world, because this is one of the fundamentals of building blocks of geometry, Euclidean geometry, sacred geometry, whatever you want to call it. These are the cosmic rules. There we see also in Egypt as well. We can just keep developing this pattern. So much information is connected in there. But back to...
This footage comes courtesy of Wa Fu Hsi, Abydos Temple, Egyptian Occult Symbolism, October 2016. And here we see the famous Osiron temple just out the back of the temple of Seti I at Abydos. And here we see the flower of life, the seed of life geometry carved into the stone here. Just to understand, this is a global symbol, and it really does cross time, cross cultures, across the world.
The pyramidion, which was found next to the red pyramid, which was I would say vandalized. That is simply free, a double vesica, which is such a, again, important repeated symbol in so many of these Hermetic traditions. If the compass is
25 centimeters, then it would be 25, 25, 25, giving us 1 meter. And that would be the equivalent of 1 Egyptian royal cubit, 1 Egyptian royal cubit, and 1 Egyptian royal cubit. And
using the axis, we've divided the circle into 3 equal portions. Each portion of arc is exactly that distance. So each one of these is exactly 1 Egyptian royal cubit, making that 1 meter high. The pyramidion cap, the red pyramid, 1 meter high, 3 Egyptian royal cubits wide. Now, astronomy. Now, I did it in the previous video, I'll put that link, but let's just have a look at that. So 25 centimeters, 1